Right, Coach, and they have received a statement on Tyon, so they're aware of that situation.
Yeah, I'll just leave this statement to speak for what it is, and we're going to do everything in our power to help all of our players, but in particular, I think in this situation, this is a great thing for him, great thing for us to be able to work through with him, and as we move forward with our group, I think all hands on deck continues to be, the theme of things, and we have a big week, home week. Came off a very tough week, disappointing, obviously, that we weren't able to play a little better Saturday, but George Mason did a lot of good things in that game. And as we approach, Wednesday night, we know we have to be a lot better, and we're going to have to be way more consistent as we head into that one. But the stakes continue to rise as the season continues to unfold, and we have high stakes this week. We have to be able to hang in there and keep doing our work and put ourselves in a position to be successful for more good moments. And I think that's where the focus is right now.
Might be a sort of an obvious, like, if I knew the answer, I would, fix it right away thing. But tangibly, what can you see, Archie, between your team at home and how it plays and on the road and how it plays?
I just think more confidence at home. Clearly, I think most teams are. You're way more comfortable, shoot the ball a little better sometimes. Play with more freedom, play with more, less fear, more courage, so to speak. I think when you go on the road, you deal with a lot of adversity. I think that's the first thing that hits you on the road, that things aren't easy. Crowd isn't easy, officiating isn't easy, and you as a group have to be tough-minded in those situations. And if you're going to be a good road team, the one thing you always have to hang your hat on at the end of the day is you're never really going to believe that you're going to make a ton of shots or you're going to play well on offense. Teams that win on the road find it the hard way. They're able to hang their hat on their defense. They're able to rebound the ball effectively. They're able to get back. They're able to do the hard things under adverse conditions from a defensive end. And I think, looking at us on the road, I think as much as anything you can point to offense or inconsistencies there, surely that'll play a role. But I think defensively we took a step back this past week. I think just the toughness level on the ball, the ability level to guard the three, rebounding, interior play. We just took a step back this week just in terms of the ability level to kind of hang our hat on our defense. Obviously, Wednesday was a little bit disappointing because we controlled the last, however many minutes. We've been on the other situation of that game where you win on that tap and it feels like $1 million. You lose on that tap, things don't feel as good. But we controlled that one, and we were in that one, and we responded, through, especially after the first 10 or 12 minutes. Well, we got off to a tough start on Saturday, and we're playing catch-up most of the night. And again, Mason's really played well, shot the ball extremely well, and they're having a great year. So we took one on the chin. But, I think the true testament of a true team is that you stick together through the adversity, and now we have an opportunity at home. And that's on Wednesday. That won't be easy either. And as you navigate the highs and lows of the season, you have to keep things in perspective, where, the end of the world doesn't happen when you drop a few, and it's not the greatest thing in the world when you bank one in at the buzzer as well. You're kind of the same. You just have to keep navigating the water, so to speak. But, home and away, I think every team plays that role. Some are better, some are worse, but I think the teams that have success on the road have that confidence that they're physically ready to bring the fight to the table in terms of defensively, being able to do that. And then that sometimes helps you create more offense than you need on the road.
With a Mark Schmidt coached team, you've had many battles. Just what do you expect going into a game like that?
Well, they're very well coached. Obviously, Coach Schmidt's going to go down as one of the Atlantic 10's best coaches in the history of the league. His tenure speaks for itself. They've had a great year. I know they dropped a few here recently in the league, but they've played good basketball all year round. And he's phenomenal at being able to get his best players opportunities in games. And I think that's the thing that you deal with the most when you play against them, is they really go at you, have a game plan to go at you. And I think, their inside presence with Brown is huge. He's a great inside presence for them. And then they can shoot the ball really well from, two spots in particular can really get you from three. But, Council is one of the, league's most devastating guards. Transition, driving downhill. I mean, he's electric. And they play a tight rotation, which he usually does. But well coached, good team. They played a lot of good basketball this year. Like a lot of teams in our league, you look at them and you say, man, they could go on a serious run here, which they've already been on early in the year as well. So we have our work cut out for us on Wednesday night.
Archie, in the early part of the year, you were able to force pace in games. Your average number of possessions is much higher than it's been in league play. Is that a function of teams knowing you better, scouting you better, or do you see, maybe something on your side that's preventing it?
I think style of play, and I think opponents' preparation towards us gears to do anything you can to kind of keep us out of transition, whether that's full court pressure on makes or dead balls, or trying to take Sebastian, out of the transition game on outlets, whatever it may be. I think style plays a role in it. I also think as you get later in the year, it's not as easy, just to go up and down the floor. It becomes a little bit more of a possession game in terms of quality possessions. On the road, you may not want to turn it over as much and try to be a little bit more organized, where you're not as consumed with just pushing and running. At home, maybe you let them go a little bit more. But I think scoring just in general, possessions in general, tends to go down in January and February in league play. Scouting plays a role, style plays a role, but also I think the games become more possession oriented, where each one counts a little bit more, so to speak. Now at home, I think we may play a little swifter pace than we do on the road, but we have to continue to find ways to be good in transition, because that's where we're good. And I think that's a commitment level, especially over these next 4 weeks, is to be good at the simple things. And I think running the floor and converting and just playing with good tempo is something that we've done all year, and we need to continue to do that.
With the struggles on the road, does that make these games at home mean a little bit more, or does every game still mean the same?
I mean, home games are everything. I think I've pretty much always said that. You always want to defend home court. In conference play in particular, home games are of the utmost importance, because it is so hard to go on the road in league play, whether it's back-to-back or 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. I mean, you need to be able to be confident at home, and we have been confident at home for the most part all year long. We've had some good wins here, and we've had good play here, and I think as we go into this back stretch, definitely home court is something you have to take a ton of pride in, because it is very difficult on the road.
Coach, during games, oftentimes teams go small. They put in a smaller lineup, sometimes 4 guards. From a strategic perspective, can you just talk about that a little?
The game is small now. You don't find as many teams playing big ball. I mean, even if the other team has great wing size or length, the game has moved to perimeter-oriented offense and defensive schemes. The three-point line plays a big role. Spacing plays a big role. But you're always in that mismatch game, whether a team sometimes comes in with big or a team has the ability to play both, small or big. You have to be able to adjust with your system on both ends of the floor, just like everybody else does. But, I think the game has trended in a very, very skilled manner all over the world, but most importantly, as it comes into college, you tend to find that really unique 4-man lineup out there that's hard to guard and can shoot. And you see it night in, night out.
And what happens during the game? Is it a little bit of a cat and mouse, where if the other coach goes small, do you automatically go small, or it depends on the circumstances, or who goes first? How do you react to it?
I think really at the end of the day, you have to be good at your system in terms of your personnel, regardless of who you play. And in some cases, some games with foul trouble requires you to adjust. Some games with matchups requires you to adjust. Sometimes you find a group that's playing really well together and you want to ride that out. George Mason had the ability to play 2 bigs at one time, and they went small. We had the ability late in the game to play with David and Javante on the floor at one time, which is something that we've been thinking about a lot more, with the physicality that we need right now and the size that we're sometimes missing. In particular, a guy like Q wasn't available last week at the wing spot, who brings us a great rebounder and a motor. We're playing a lot smaller on the perimeter right now, so we have to adjust. Other teams adjust. I think you see certain styles during the course of games that coaches like to go to certain lineups throughout the course of a game where they can try different things, go small or big. But I think in general, there's probably cat and mouse. There's probably also confidence in the groupings that you put out there that they're going to be successful.
And so when the other team goes small, it's not automatic that you then have to go small. Or do you try and go small to force them out of their lineup? Is that all part of the strategies now?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to who's manipulating, who's playing well. I think if a small lineup's working, and at the end of the day, you want to make them go small or keep them small, really it has the success offensively and defensively with the group is on the floor if they're getting the job done. Sometimes maybe Big's having an impact on the game and you want to stay big, and regardless of what they do, that group is playing well together. So a lot of it's the flow of a game. A lot of it is forcing the other team to do what you want them to do. And in some cases, you get forced to do what you want to do. You play 5 guards. You know, you see that a lot where there's 5 shooters on the floor at one point in time in a game. And, you know, your lineup sometimes have to adjust to that. Or can your lineup take advantage of that, you know, depending on how it goes. But, yeah, I think basketball is a game of style. And if you can be versatile in the way that you play, I think it's always a good thing.
Will you have Quinton Wednesday?
We're hoping. You know, he was out of the facility last week with flu-like symptoms. We weren't sure if it was mono or strep or whatnot. He lost a lot of energy in the middle of the week. We thought we may have him back at least for the trip this weekend, but from the doctor's orders, it was good to kind of keep him home just so, you know, obviously he doesn't get worse or get anybody else. But as we headed in through the weekend, I think he's going to make his first comeback with us in about 5 days. We'll see how things go over the next 2 days, in particular with how he feels with not practicing for last week. But we need him. I think he plays a big role in this next 4 weeks for us in terms of our versatility in our lineups, size, rebounding, capable scorer, shooter. And we would love to see the best of Q here down these next 4 weeks because I think it could really help us.
Coach, can you tell me the status of, I'm sorry, I don't know if I pronounced the name correctly, I haven't heard it much, your 7-footer from the Netherlands,
Oh, Mook.
Mook. Yeah, what's his status?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'm not real sure what we can and can't say. We haven't said a lot about Mook. Number one, he's an awesome kid. Number two, we're really excited about him through the first few weeks of him getting here, getting acclimated. He has a bright future in the game. I would just leave it at this, that we found some significant health issues along the way of physicals, and as he's been in school and getting checked up, that's put a pause, so to speak, on basketball for right now. He currently is at home for the second semester back in the Netherlands, dealing with those issues, and we hope that as the spring kind of goes along, we're going to have some good updates, and we're going to have some good feedback, and as spring semester sort of ends and he regains the ability level to travel, he'll be back with us hopefully at some point in time, if not early summer, late summer. But Mook, fantastic kid, very intelligent, arrived late and we got him in, and then he started to matriculate into our organization, so to speak, into the everyday fold. He's got a great personality and I think he has a bright future. Unfortunately, he's been sidelined. He's been sidelined medically, and we're going to take every step, as his family has taken every step, very slowly, and we're hoping that as this season sort of wraps up and we get into the later in the spring, we can get some more clarity on what the next step's going to be. But that's pretty much, I think, all I probably
Great,
can and
thank you.
should say.
Just to be clear for me, currently you don't expect him back before this season is over?
No, I think currently right now he's going to be at home, and it's no academic and it's no disciplinary issues or anything like that. He and his family and our doctors, we've all sort of come to grips with letting them sort of take over this next step of a recovery process, and we'll go from there. But I anticipate he'll be back with us late spring, early summer.
The only thing I would add is that from the time he got here, the plan was to redshirt him this
Yeah,
year already.
he wasn't in the fold in terms of using this year as eligibility anyway. Unfortunately, the progress of him being with us every day in practice sort of got stunted.
Just without getting into specifics on Tyon, was this something that maybe came to a head quickly, or was it something that was playing out over time? His need to maybe step away from the program?
Over time, and I think at the end of the day, what's best for him right now is to take a deep breath, and I'll just leave it at that. No one incident, no one issue. I think all these guys, they go through a lot during the course of a year, and I think at the end of the day, sometimes it becomes too much, and when that happens, you know, you set them up for failure, you know, realistically. And I think right now what we're trying to do and what we're going to do for our team and our players all the time is put them in a position where they can be successful. And if they can't be successful in the immediate right now, then maybe sometimes that is a break, and that leads them to more success down the road.
All right, anything else? Good deal, we'll see
All
you
good?
all on Wednesday.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.